All right, today we're going to be doing a astrological analysis of Zohran Mamdani's chart. May have said his name wrong. I apologize if I did. But to do this, to look into his soul, understand his path in this life, we're going to be looking at his chart. Then we're going to be looking at the psychological blocks that are holding him back from moving along his spiritual path. And finally, alchemy, the transformational process I would recommend to him if you were my client. So let's get right into the astrology. Not waste any of your time. So we have the South Node and North Node, Ketu Rahu axis. This is the path of a person's spiritual evolution. The Ketu South Node aspect of the chart is the part where we are most karmically comfortable. So for Mamdani, that is in Cancer in the 12th house. So when you have the South Node in the 12th house with Cancer, you have somebody like Mamdani who's very aware of his emotional needs. And when he takes action, he's driven by his emotions, meaning that he's somebody who doesn't like to do things that don't feel good or don't fulfill him emotionally, right? He's an emotionally driven human being. But wherever the South Node is, because it's an area of the chart that has been developed over many lifetimes, it's quite pathological. So that also means that he restricts his actions, but also restricts his experience emotionally, trying to feel only certain types of emotions and blocking out other types of emotions. Now, I don't know him. I don't know what emotions he is deemed as good or bad. It depends on the person. Some people can decide that joy is a bad emotion to feel, more commonly anger or sadness. For Mamdani and the way that he presents himself, I have a feeling that anger is one of those emotions that he does not want to show. He cuts out of his emotional spectrum repertoire. That's just a hypothesis. Being in the 12th house too means that he has a comfort in vacations, relaxation, the subconscious mind, letting go, surrender. So he's probably somebody who likes to go with the flow. He's not very high strung. He likes to surrender to the moment and be present. He's also probably aware of certain subconscious psychological tendencies that he has. And like I said before, with Cancer, he's going to have an emotional depth to him. He's going to be comfortable in that emotional space. Probably somebody who would enjoy or love psychedelics. Don't know if he's done them. I know he won't admit it if he did, but I could see him being somebody who was into psychedelics, especially with that South Node in the 12th house with Cancer. But our life, when it comes to spiritual evolution, the soul's path is about going to Rahu, right? North Node, that's what we need to develop most. It's the area of the chart that is least developed in our spiritual identity or experience over the lifetimes that we live as we ascend and ascend higher and higher towards source, or I guess return back towards source. It's in Capricorn in the 6th house. So this incarnation is all about hard work. So the 6th house signifies debts, illness, health, habits, but also labor and service. Capricorn is also a material sign. It's an earth sign. So you're going from, super expansive and transcendent house of the 12th house of losses and also expenses with Cancer, down to Capricorn, materialistic. So taking action for material security and material success, focusing on something, a material goal, and achieving it. So this also means that Mamdani is going to have a lot of comfort in spending. He's probably somebody who spends a lot. So he's running for New York mayor. I'm not too well versed on all the politics and what powers he does or doesn't have, but I can tell you right now that he is somebody who will want to spend a lot of money. The 12th house is expenses. That means he's comfortable spending money. Also, I'm not too familiar with his upbringing, but I'm sure that he's not been the most frugal or materialistically conscious human being about how much waste is in his life, okay? Now, with this development, right, so he's supposed to be more material, focused, hardworking, being of service. Well, he's trying to become mayor. So this, what we're seeing is we're watching Mamdani trying to develop his 6th house in Capricorn by becoming mayor of New York. It's amazing how astrology, psychology, and spiritual evolution works, right? So will he succeed, I guess, is the question, right? We want to know, will he be successful? Well, we can never know because of some free will and, who can really truly predict the future. There's always a level of chance that we can't account for, but we can do our best guess. So the Lord of Cancer and Capricorn, the Lord of the North Node and the South Node, are both in the 7th house. That is a good sign for developing the nodes, the axis, because focusing on 7th house things will develop both of these. So he's going to feel comfortable in the 7th house. Now, the 7th house signifies partnerships, business, also public, sex, long distance journeys, things like that. So he already has a natural development for partnerships, but also relating to the public. This is why he's so charismatic and maybe not agreeable, but more so liked, right? He's well received by the public. I mean, he's shot out of nowhere and he's already overtaking incumbents and, political veterans, right? But what is stopping him from fully fulfilling this spiritual evolution that he's meant to undertake to move towards that Capricorn in the 6th house of a lot of material hard work? First, people pleasing. Where do we see this people pleasing in his chart? Well, he's a Libra. So the sun is debilitated in Libra because the sun is an individualistic sign. It's all about me, I, identity, the self, moving on your own individualistic path, being the king of your kingdom. But Libra is a social sign. It's all about exchanging with other people and compromise. Well, the sun doesn't like to compromise. He's more individualistic in his being. So Mamdani is going to be somebody who will at times sacrifice his own personal individuality, own personal inspirations and visions for what he wants in his life to be socially coherent or harmonious with other people around him. Not necessarily a bad thing, right? Especially if you're going to be mayor or a politician. But this can be a problem sometimes when you want to be a strong, powerful leader moving towards an ideal situation that you can see in your mind. That means that his visions, his inspirations, what he envisions is strongly rooted in the general populace and what other people are saying. It's not coming from internally, it's coming from externally. He also has Saturn aspecting his sun, which means it's agitating and starving his soul identity, his core identity, which is his sun sign. This also means that he's going to have times where he sacrifices his identity to fit in and also to look good. He's very socially conscious. He has the sun in a social sign of Libra. Also, Saturn is going to starve the sun, so it's going to dim the light. So he's somebody who unconsciously and continuously dims his light to please others for validation and approval. Overthinking. The reason why I say overthinking is because we have Mars and Mercury in Scorpio in the 4th house, which is of the mind. 4th house also signifies the mother. Mercury and Mars are not friends. More specifically, Mars hates Mercury. He's an enemy to Mars, Mercury is. So there's a starvation there. Why does Mars hate Mercury? Well, Mars is all about emergencies, the will, effort, and your instinctual reactions to things. Or Mercury is all about the intellect, thinking about things, experimenting, observing, trial and error. Mars is life or death, emergencies. Mercury is fun, experimentation, and observation. Well, when those butt heads, you have the intellect constantly running over emergency situations. I believe Bernie Sanders has the same configuration, interestingly enough. And I also did a video on him, you can check out on my page. But all this to say is that he's in his head constantly thinking about what could go wrong, constantly looking out for threats and dangers, and probably catastrophizing more often than would be healthy, holding him back from moving towards material success and working harder because he might be worried about what might go wrong once he starts putting effort into something, pursuing that material success. Finally, early trauma, more specifically, separation trauma from the mother. Why do I say this? because he has Saturn, the moon. Saturn is our trauma, is our fears, is our insecurities, is separation from whatever planet it's with. It starves any planet it's with, no matter who it is. When you have it with the moon, that's signifying our subconscious, actually no, not subconscious, subjective experience, the way that we experience and take in the sensorial world around us, the way we are projecting on to the three-dimensional space that is external to us. Moon is also the mother. So the fourth house is also the mother. So you have the Mars, Mercury, starved. You have Saturn, Moon, starved. So something happened, most likely with his mother. Again, I don't know the man. Seems like a nice guy. But something happened. Either she was separated from him for a time. Perhaps maybe she had trauma going on in her life while she was raising him. This is usually around the 0 to 3 age. Something happened from 0 to 3 because Mars is 1 to 3 of our, that's when that signifies. Moon is like 0 to 1, up to 1. So something happened from 0 to 3 where either he had a sibling that took away attention, or his mother was preoccupied, or had some kind of emotional, crisis, or something happened where he felt disconnected from his mother. And so this is always going to deepen that insecurity. It's going to deepen the overthinking. It's going to deepen that people-pleasing, that need for external validation, because internally at his core, he's subjectively experiencing lack. Okay? Saturn-Moon conjunction is very, very painful. Now, his Saturn's very strong, so I do believe that he can overcome this, because Saturn is a planet that signifies the part of ourselves that we can endure. It's that resilience. And I mean, he has a good chart to be a public serviceman, because the sixth house is all about service. Saturn signifies, the servant, and it's by far his best planet. It's very powerful, very strong. So he wants to be of service. He does have compassion in him. It's got Venus in Virgo, so there's going to be a level of perfectionism there, but he's the type of person that does have a good heart. His heart is in the right place. It's just he has to be careful that he's not crafting his vision and changing himself for that external validation and letting external influences sway him too far off the mark. Okay? But overall, I think he'd be a great public figure and person of service because of that. That's his purpose. Now, it's a part that he needs to develop. He's developing it in this incarnation in real time, or watching him do it. But I think he has a good heart, and I think it's in the right place. But again, it will involve a lot of losses and expenses, and there will be times where he will be driven to do something that feels emotionally good, but might be practically or materially good or successful. So that is something to think about. Now, how would he be able to get healing or transform these psychological blocks to better move towards that material success and service and hard work that he needs to undergo in this incarnation? Well, first, solar plexus chakra. The solar plexus is where the sun lives. It's our self-esteem, it's our confidence, it's our identity, it's the seat of our power. He needs to balance his solar plexus chakra because the sun is so beat up because of that people-pleasing. Some simple ways to do this is breath work, fasting, healthy eating, right? Because the gut, you want the gut to be healthy, the core. A flat, strong, powerful core, so any kind of core exercises, even kind of cardio works, but you want to strengthen the core, right? The body reflects the mind reflects the body. So a strong body is a strong mind is a strong body. You strengthen the core, you balance your solar plexus chakra. Also learning to say no to people, not being so agreeable, being able to show certain emotions that he would deem as bad, like anger, right? So being willing to stand up for himself, say no, show a little aggression, show a little oomph will help him balance out that solar plexus chakra, raise his self-esteem, and feel more seated and confident in his power. Exercise, this is to balance out the overthinking, Mars also rules, physical effort, exertion, our will. You have a crazy, fast-moving mind that's constantly thinking about dangers or potential emergencies. How about you burn that energy off through physical exercise? He also has Chiron in the first house, which I didn't mention earlier. So there might be certain self-esteem issues around the body, certain body image issues. I have Chiron in the first house, so I can attest that there can be insecurities surrounding the body in the way that you present yourself, right? Because that's what the first house represents. It's the body, it's also the head, so there also might be some mental illnesses. Chiron is the seat of our wound, it's the wounded healer. But that also means that he has potential to be a healer. Again, he has a healer's mindset. There's a humility there. There's a humbleness there. There's a knowing. And that's what people are resonating with, is that true humility of where he can feel other people's pain. He has compassion. That happens when you get humbled by Chiron through whatever wound. But exercise is really important for him. Finally, shadow work. That trauma, there's a part of himself that's holding on to it. I don't know what it is. If he were my client, I'd guide him. We do a shadow work session or transformation session where we go into his subconscious mind to locate that traumatized part. It's holding on. Probably also manifesting through his relationships and partnerships and also his interactions with the public. He's probably overwhelmed with these new adversaries and people kind of digging into his past and trying to expose him for things. I commend him because for him, this is extra hard. He's really sensitive to this. This is very difficult for him. This is uncharted territory. Again, he's going into the part of his chart, being forced into it, because the sixth house is also enemies. He's being forced into this part of his chart because this is part of his purpose, his spiritual path, to evolve. It's his hero's journey. Another way of thinking about this is the hero's journey. We got to get to that trauma. So finding that part, figuring out what it needs, giving it space, healing it, so then you can move forward with less overthinking, more confidence, and understand who he truly is as a leader and political figure. Anyway, thank you for your time. Love to hear any comments. Appreciate a like and a subscribe. Cheers.